The Dead Sea is a place of lost cities and fabled civilizations, of natural cataclysms and human conflicts. Its tortured desert landscape shaped the beliefs of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. For it was in the books of Genesis, the Quran, and the Jewish Torah that the story of the Dead Sea began, with the legendary destruction of the cities of Sin, Sodom, and Gomorrah. And the Lord rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah fire and brimstone out of heaven. He overthrew those cities of the plain, and all the inhabitants, and all that grew upon the ground. And lo, the smoke went up like the smoke of a furnace. But Lot's wife looked back from behind her, and became a pillar of salt. For the world's major faiths, this place symbolizes God's wrath on earth. For millennia, its cursed shores were believed to be deadly. Its gaping cliffs, the gateway to hell. This God-forsaken reputation is supported by scientific fact. The Dead Sea is the deepest point on any continent, lying 1,400 feet below the level of the oceans. In summer, temperatures can soar to over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and rainfall is practically unheard of. And pillars of salt really do line its shore. But what gives the Dead Sea its name is its greatest curse. Its water is so toxic that all fish perish in it. And yet tens of thousands of people flock here every year to float in it, unable to sink due to its incredible buoyancy. "70 miles from the Mediterranean, the Dead Sea lies at the bottom of an enormous trench on the border between Israel and Jordan. Its shore is only 12 miles from, but over 4,000 feet below, the city of Jerusalem. Fed from the north by the Jordan River, the Dead Sea is actually a 50-mile-long salt lake, divided into a deep northern basin and a shallower, lighter blue southern basin. But there's no outlet, and so, trapped in a desert, the water rapidly evaporates to leave a mineral-saturated soup 10 times saltier than any ocean. Anything submerged in it will be covered in rock salt in a matter of days. It's a constant struggle for the people who actually live on its shores. For Moti Gonan, the captain of the aptly named Lot's wife, the only way to deal with the build-up of salt is to get in the water and hack it off by hand.
The density of the water is in about 30% heavier than fresh water, so a fatty guy like me needs something around 60 kilograms of lead. Also, we use a special full-face mask, very good for pollution divings. The salty water is so salty that if you drink something like 1 glass of it, it can kill you.
These waters are deadly. If swallowed, the concentrated calcium and magnesium salts will dehydrate the gut and attack the central nervous system. If inhaled, they will destroy lung tissue. A fact most bathers choose to ignore. Further to the south, the climate becomes much hotter and the water a great deal shallower, making the southern basin of the Dead Sea one vast evaporation pond. One effect of which is the creation of these bizarre salt formations. Each spring, these 20-foot wide mushrooms of salt literally grow out of the sea. Within the briny waters, the rising temperature increases the evaporation rate, boiling away the water to leave higher and higher concentrations of salt in the brine. Eventually, there is more mineral than liquid, and the salt begins to precipitate out into these peculiar rock-hard platforms. This constant battle with salt is the reason why Lot's wife is the only vessel operating on the Dead Sea. But it's essential for the work of Professor Zvi Ben Avram of the Dead Sea Research Center. And for Zvi, the power of this landscape has captivated him since childhood.
This place is very unique from many respects. I myself was born on those mountains in a small place near Bethlehem, actually in a small kibbutz between Bethlehem and Jerusalem. And from my place, one could see stretch of the Dead Sea, so it caught my imagination for a long time. But when I grew up and studied geology and geophysics, I realized how unique it is.
Today, Zvi is taking low-frequency soundings of the sea floor. In the northern basin, the Dead Sea reaches a depth of over 1,200 feet. And beneath the seabed itself are millions of years of deposits of salts, muds, and silt. Zvi has found that these sediments continue down for a further 7 miles.
And if you take these 12 kilometers of sediment and you combine this with the height of the mountains, which is almost 2 kilometers on the east side and about 1.2 on this side, and you take in consideration the erosion, you come up with probably the deepest crack on Earth, over 15 kilometers, right here.
The clues as to how this deepest crack on Earth came into being lie deep within its canyons and ravines. When Eli Raz came to the Dead Sea 25 years ago, its landscape inspired him to become a geologist and to seek to understand its creation.
After I spent here year, 2 years, I started to feel that the area is talking with me. If you're just walking around, you start to see a lot of things, and you can start to understand a lot of things about yourself. I can feel that I'm in the right place.
The fossil-rich limestone beds in these canyons tell Eli that the rocks were laid down at the bottom of an ancient tropical ocean between 60 and 90 million years ago. Far older than the Dead Sea itself.
If we compare the new creation of the Dead Sea Valley, if we compare it to the ancient rocks here, which are of 90 million years ago, we are speaking about absolutely new baby born here.